So like my hair's been really short for I think about like 5, 6 years now.
Okay.
So like I've always wore like big flashy earrings, and then when I started Columbia, I was like, well, I have to conform to um, the Ivy League, whatever Ivy League says I'm supposed to be in that. And I remember one time being like depressed, honestly, about because I was like suppressing myself that like I wore my really big earrings, and although people weren't touching my hair, that's normally happens to black women, it was like, oh my goodness, are these so heavy? Like, oh, like what are you? And like just really in my personal space with it, and it was just like, well, like you should probably wear smaller earrings because then you don't want to cause like too much attention to yourself. You're already black uh, in an Ivy League school, so I already stand out. And it's like maybe you don't want to. And it was said by another black person that I don't know if it was coming from a negative place for them, that they were genuinely worried about my safety and well-being and mental health, that conforming was the better option. Um, and again, even if they didn't come negatively, it felt very negative and personally attacking because this is who I am, and like it's something that has been a part of me for so long that when I do wear small earrings, I feel off balance. Like it's something, it doesn't touch. I don't know what to do. So it's like when someone says that, like, oh, you shouldn't because to make other people feel comfortable, then it's like, oh, well, like I shouldn't be myself. So like what's wrong with me? So then you start to internalize like maybe I am wrong. Like maybe I am too black in these spaces. Like it took me like probably about like 2 weeks um, to kind of get out of that rut of like I didn't wear like my earrings the way that I normally would, and some people were like, where is like what are you doing, like why are you? I'm like, yeah, well, like I don't want to cause too much attention. And it's like, well, what's wrong with causing attention and like people being there? And it's just like I don't remember what was wrong with it, but now I've internalized that I've been wrong. um and I think again, anxiety, depression, all those other things that make your mind more susceptible to the voices of outside folks, um, really played a part in that kind of descent. And it took some remembering like that these things do make me feel good, and that Columbia is going to have to take all of my blackness, whether they like it or not. And if I stand out, then so be it. And like when I do stand out, let's make sure that they're seeing positivity in that they can't lump me with the stereotypes that they might give to black people, because that's not who we are as a group. Like y'all made this story up about us, and then try to copy the culture, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like I'm just living out my blackness in this, and so so I think it would be a mutual respect between the two of us, trying to understand each other's views and how somebody comes to the table and the nuances and uniqueness that comes with every person, um, and how their history affects how they show up to the present. Um, and just having a better understanding. I think also like the imposter syndrome that I was feeling at that time, it added on to it. I try to have a really good support system, and I've been like growing up, I think as black women, but like this happens to black men, I think actually more, but as black women we don't always talk about what's hurting us because we see strong black women around us and we want to be like them, and we don't see them talking about things, so we don't talk about it. um, so that's growing up like that, but then getting friends that push me to speak about my dreams, um, and that are invested in helping me reach those dreams, and say like, well, okay, well, like you might not have done it then, but like how can I help you do this now? Like what support do you need? Is something that my friends and I ask each other a lot. Like how can I help?